Yeah, and you also are an avid hunter, it sounds like.
I am, yeah, yeah. I am. I had always grown up around firearms, and kind of did sports shooting from a young age. But I didn't really start hunting until I was out of the army and was married. And my wife was like, "Why do we have these firearms? And why do you have why are you allegedly good at shooting things if you're not going to actually fill the freezer every winter?"
Mm.
So I started hunting. A couple years ago when we were living in Texas, and just going to really love it. I try to shoot a couple deer every year because that tends to be what feed the family. But I really enjoy upland hunting as well. We've got an American Brittany, so during the falls you can usually find me chasing grouse or woodcock somewhere. Really enjoy that, and that's something I enjoy with the kids as well. They tend to either come along with me and walk behind me and the dogs, or at the very least, my 4-year-old daughter loves to help me pluck the birds when I come home.
Nice. And so presumably this passion of yours, this I guess newly found passion, is what led you to write this piece for The Atlantic in defense of hunting. Can you tell us a little bit about sort of what you're getting at in that piece?
Yeah, I mean, my wife and I, we have we're odd, I guess, in one sense. And the reason why hunting matters to us is for the same reason that we're not like super conservative folks, far from it. But we really believe in kind of living sustainably, and the same reason why we feel we need to be connected to our food chain. We try to garden a lot. We forage a ton. We've got some land in Western Maine where we do a lot of foraging, and hunting and fishing are part of that, right? So I think if we're going to be eating meat, we don't want to do it in a sustainable way. If we can take some deer off people's property and butcher the deer ourselves, and prepare the meat ourselves, and have our children be a part of that, I just think it's an important thing. So that's kind of what we do, and as part of trying to explain that to an audience at the Atlantic, which probably skews towards the left. Although, I mean,
Sure.
I was shocked by the number of kind of positive emails and responses that I got from folks who I wouldn't traditionally associate with being Atlantic readers, but who'd read it. I usually write on Middle East politics for the Atlantic, and this was something very, very different.
Yeah, I think I believe Katie Pavlik from Fox had mentioned the piece as well, and
All right.
and Gabby Hoffman, who's another a hunting advocate that I know well, and I've been on her podcast before. I've seen a number of people in the sort of hunting space discuss your piece in a positive way, and I thought it was a really good piece as well.
Oh, thanks, man.
Because it lays out sort of the positive case for why hunting is important, right?
Yeah.
That sort of seemed to be your goal here, trying to explain this to people who aren't hunters, who might be gun skeptical, why you partake in this activity, right?
Yeah, I think that's right. I mean, I think, there's room, if you are a hunter, if you are somebody who cares about and preserving those opportunities to hunt for the next generation. And like I said, this is something I do with my oldest son. We call him the great indoorsman. He's not so into being outdoors with dad hunting, but my second son loves to go out with me. My daughter can't wait to my oldest daughter can't wait to go out with me. If you're somebody who is interested in preserving those opportunities for the next generation and for whom this matters, then I think actually you don't necessarily line up with either kind of political party. Although I think, the skeptics that I was really aiming at were folks kind of, more left of center. I mean, if you look at all the great, conservation work that's been done over the past two presidents, and both President Biden through the Inflation Reduction Act, as well as President Trump through the Great American Outdoors Act, they both have a lot to be proud of in terms of conservation, in terms of expanding hunting opportunities. I mean, both presidents have a lot to be proud of. But both of those, and this is interesting kind of historically, when there are times of real partisan divide within Washington, D.C., conservation has historically been one of those things that Democrats and Republicans can sit around the table and kind of agree on. But it is true that, a lot of the anti-conservation voices in the Senate, all 25 votes against the Great American Outdoors Act, which President Trump signed, those all came from the Republican side. We've seen erosions of protections of wetlands under, under the Supreme Court and the conservative judiciary. So there are reasons to be kind of frustrated if you care about conservation with more conservative Americans and with the Republican Party. By contrast, I get the sense that Democrats are so scared of offending, very passionate folks within the party who are deeply ambivalent or hostile towards firearms that they can't talk about the role that hunting plays towards those same conservation goals that we have. I mean, the North American model of conservation is really remarkable, and it's one of the few like big government, scientifically driven programs that we've got that has like buy-in from some of our most conservative, like right-wing Americans buy into this North American model. But the skeptics that you often have to talk to about are folks on the left. And I get the sense that the Biden administration gets it. The folks, Tracy Stone Manning, who runs, Bureau of Land Management, she gets it. That's not the issue. But I just get the sense that a lot of Democrats are hesitant to talk about it and to talk because hunting has become so deeply ingrained with association with firearms, frankly. And one of the things that, there's been some polling that's come out over the past year, and we've started to see public support for hunting at kind of the lowest levels over the past 2 decades. And a lot of that has to do, it seems, with just kind of general ambivalence towards any types of firearms. So it's not just kind of hunting that's unpopular or that's becoming more unpopular. It's also, even things like, skeet shooting or, shooting sporting clays or, sports shooting. More Americans have grown, ambivalent about even that. And so I think that we need to make a positive case for hunting and how it fits into our conservation goals as a country, so that people can kind of disaggregate that with whatever their, personal feelings about firearms might be.